Hi, Pam Cameron here, creator of Community Cat News, the neighborhood news show created by cats for cats. It's an audio sitcom available on all podcast platforms, plus YouTube. Recently, I had a miniature made of one of our most popular characters, Meow Meow Puffytail. He's a tough-talking feline rights attorney, always willing to sue your human for even the slightest inconvenience. Maybe you want to do something like that for your audio drama. So today I'm going to show you how I did it. I had decided that 3D printing was probably going to be the way to go, even though I had no experience with it. So what I did first was I went to Etsy and I just scrolled and I'm like, what does a 3D printed miniature or toy or whatever, what would that even look like? And there is just a lot of options here. If you search for fidget animals, you'll get a lot of like 3D printed animals with articulations. And I figured out that what articulations means like something moves, like the head moves, the tail moves, like it's posable. So I ordered some of those, and I don't know if you can see here. I got them, held them in my hands. I'm like, okay, I was looking at how big they were and stuff. And I decided that I wanted my miniature to be about 2.5 inches high, something like that. And so then I was like, how do I get this thing made? I went to Fiverr, found this 3D designer named Rozak, and we started talking details. It's important to give your 3D designer as many details as possible, because where I was starting from, it was like, well, I guess a cat, a cat wearing a tie, a cat that looks angry, but you really have to give the designer more information than that, because they need to know, like, well, what pose should this figure be sitting in? Like, if you are having a miniature made of a human or an elf or a dwarf or something, they're going to need to know, like, is this miniature going to be on like a solid platform, like a round platform that its feet are attached to, or is it going to just be freestanding without a platform? Which way is its head going to be looking? Is it going to be looking like left or right or whatever? And so I had to come up with, okay, I think sitting is good, and I want the head to articulate, like go back and forth, but I don't need like the paws to articulate, and I do want the tail to articulate. So that's what I told the designer, and we talked about colors. 3D printing, I figured out they can usually do about 5 colors. So I was like, okay, Meow Meow Puffytail. Obviously we need gray and black. We need pink for the ears, white for the snout, green for the eyes, and that makes 5. And then I found some pictures from the internet, like angry cats, to show that I wanted the ears going out to the side. And once me and the designer had figured everything out, like the size, the colors, all that stuff, he said, okay, it's going to be $150 charge. It'll take about 2 weeks, which, guys, I was born in the 90s. This stuff would have been impossible back then. I feel like I'm living in a miracle. 2 weeks, that's not even a big deal. So the designer showed me this like mock-up of what he had, which, oh my god, this is amazing. I was like, yes, I love it. So then he got an STL file ready, and I'm like, how am I going to get this thing printed? So I went back to Etsy, and I found a seller named Chanel Hess. And what she does is she buys patterns, and I don't even know if I'm using the right word right now, patterns, and then prints them herself and then sells the 3D printed toys. But she said she would be willing to try something custom for me. So I sent her the file, and she printed out the first iteration. All right, so I'm going to show you what just the rough draft of it looked like. So this was the original Meow Meow Puffytail, just without color, a rough draft. The thing is, its head kept falling off. And so anticipate some design problems. That's okay. You just got to be willing to, just fix stuff. So I went back to the designer and said, the head's falling off. Let's see if we can fix that ball joint. And also I'd noticed that in the first iteration, I had the tie being separate from the body, but then when the rough draft was made and the tie snapped off, I realized that was probably a bad idea. So I asked the designer to have the tie like flush with the body so it couldn't snap off. All right, so the designer went back to the drawing board on the ball joint, worked on it a little bit more. Chanel printed a few more versions for me until we got one that the head was secure, it wouldn't fall off. And I'm like, yes, okay, this is great. So then she mailed me the final version with the tie flush, the head secure. And I know it's my baby. I think it's the most beautiful thing in the world. And so the next question is, if you want to sell this to your fans, how? How do you sell, how do you take a physical product and mail it to people and get their credit card information and stuff? I just set up an Etsy store because it's super easy, it's not expensive, and I've done it before, so I know how it works. So this is the little Etsy listing. Shows the proportions. I've got a little video here that shows how the head articulates and how the tail moves and gives people an idea of how big it is. So that's it. I asked Chanel to print me 20 of them. I paid her a wholesale price, and then I came up with a price here, and I physically fulfill the orders. So started out with 20. We have 10 left. And it's been a really fun process. I have absolutely loved this. If you're thinking about doing something like this for your audio drama, you really might be surprised how much fun it is and how it's not as hard as you think. So maybe give it a try. And if you are a cat person, maybe check out Community Cat News, the audio drama. I think you're really going to like it. Thanks.